Lantern Cove is the home of one Jessica Fairchild, head of forensics in the LCPD. Born and raised here, she'd moved to New York City for school, and everyone, including herself, had thought that she would never return. And why would she? Soon she had her master's, soon after that, a loving husband and kids. Queens was home now, Lantern Cove a distant memory. She had a great life, fulfilling work, and a bright future. Then came the day, just an ordinary Thursday, the kids at school and her at work. She still remembers it like it was yesterday. She was finishing up a report and started hearing a commotion outside her office. There was a mustard stain on her shirt sleeve, an unfortunate consequence of the fast food burger she'd grabbed at lunch. She was thinking about the stain when her immediate supervisor rushed in, and it took a moment to register what he was saying. "The Carmichael building has collapsed," he said, and there was something in his voice. "Oh no," she said automatically, for a moment feeling only sympathy for an unknown group of faceless victims of tragedy. Later on, that moment felt like it could have lasted forever, like she could have gone on in that place of unaffected concern for the rest of her life if the bubble hadn't been broken. But the bubble was broken. The realization entered her mind almost casually with a calm it had no right to. The Carmichael building. That's funny. That's where my husband works. What a coincidence. What did you say about it? No, that can't be right. You don't understand. I was just texting with him an hour ago at lunch. He told me he loved me. Everything changed that Thursday. Home wasn't home anymore. Food lost its flavor. The children handled things well on the outside, but she saw the emptiness in their eyes where the future used to reside. They never found out why the building collapsed, at least not to the satisfaction of the governing bodies involved. A tense legal situation turned into a sizable settlement sum for the families of those killed in the collapse, and Jessica took that as a sign to start things over. The job offer from Lantern Cove PD come to her attention then, in that vulnerable time, and she'd seized the opportunity like it was the very fountain of hope, uprooting her family and moving them to the small New England town where she'd grown up. There lay a fresh start. There lay an understaffed, brand new forensics lab that was all hers to throw herself into. That's when her daughter's seizures started. Jessica became very familiar with the local hospital and the staff there, but none of them could tell her why her daughter's brain had started misfiring. 2 years passed with no answers. When people started dying in town, she was so busy it took a while to notice what was going on with her. Everything lost its spark. It was as though the vitality that usually suffused her life was draining from her. Her doctor called it anhedonia and prescribed an antidepressant, but things had continued to worsen instead of improving. The regular crying fits that she'd so rigorously hidden from others turned into long moments staring down at the wood grain of her desk, as though even grief had lost its power to move her. And now she stands in the parking lot of the police department, in the middle of the night, looking through the contents of a barely working phone given to her by an alien from another universe, and finding answers. An answer to why she felt the way she did. An answer to why her daughter was having seizures. An answer to what had so been occupying her son's time recently. An answer to why so much that didn't seem to make sense was going on in Lantern Cove. An answer, maybe, to why her husband had died. For the first time in weeks, she's excited. Even the strangeness of the alien in the body of one of her son's friends standing nearby isn't enough to dull her excitement. She sends a message in WhatsApp to her son and his friends. "This is Clark's mother. We need to talk." Standing on the dark shore below the Vinton Lighthouse, near a smoking cave mouth, you all get this text. What do you do?
What you guys see is just Clark sitting on the floor, kind of just breathing heavily as his heart is like sunk to the fucking floor reading that message.
So we're fucked, right? Like the cops found so much shit in there. We're fucked.
Well, the cop found. I mean, it depends on how much Clark's mom hates Clark.
Cops are cops.
Yeah, but cops like circle the wagons, right? They protect their own.
That's fair.
As I remember, I used some crazy skill to get a read on Clark's mother. And I remember getting a very solid, like, oh, wait, she's amazing, like, vibe.
Yes.
So I think Olive does speak up at that. We need to get away from here. And if she knows, let's figure out what she knows. Obviously, I mean, she's got Gus's phone, so we know what that means. So we need to ask her where to meet.
Atticus took video of the murder of Kilman, not knowing it was going to be a killing. Did the video show him turn into a fish first and then turn back, or?
It does not show it, no.
Got it. Okay.
If she has Gus's phone, that means she talked to Sophie. Who knows what the hell Sophie Gus told her?
Is the kid still in the van?
It was never in the van. Ted was tied up to a chair outside of the lighthouse.
That's right, at the lighthouse. Is he still outside the lighthouse?
No,
Great.
That's awesome.
Good too.
no, he's gone.
Yeah.
If y'all recall, there was a terrible
Bad roll.
I do. I just can't hope, you know?
We can be hopeful. There's so little of it left. All right, so we leave. We meet up.
Yeah.
Where do we meet up?
Where do you think will put your mom in the best mood, Clark?
Donut shop. Cops like donuts, right?
Fully, Clark is just disassociating. Just not even thinking of the world around him at this moment. What?
I say we do Dunkin' Donuts. Coffee, donuts. And it's a great way to get a cop in a good mood.
What are you guys? What?
I think Chris is gonna like lean down and like as gently as he can do this. He's going to like lift Clark to his feet and like dust him off like, come on, buddy. You're our driver, and also this deeply involves you. We need you like here and now right now.
Honestly, best thing is, did she mention where she wants to meet up, or if? Okay. He pulls out his phone and texts his mom. Texts the WhatsApp group. Let's meet at the house. There's no getting around it. Let's just go. You're right.
I really wanted some donuts.
Oh shit, are you a cop?
You know, if we ask, you have to tell us if you're a cop.
I'm not a cop. Would never.
Okay, when you arrive at Clark's house, Clark's mother's car is already in the driveway, and you see her waiting on the porch as you pull into the driveway. And she just stands there waiting for you. She doesn't make a move to approach the van.
Put it in park and take a deep breath. Let's rip the Band-Aid. He gets out of the car.
Your mother is standing on the porch, holding Gus's shitty phone, and she looks up at you. And you recognize your mom's work mode, where she is in a getting things done mode and absolutely no nonsense. She's not being social. She's getting work done. And that's the face that she turns towards you right now. And she nods and opens the door and says, "Everybody better come in." And she goes in.
Do we all smell like gasoline and fish?
God, yes.
Truly the
Yes.
worst smell. Awful.
Freya
Olive
leans
feels-
over to Olive and is like, I think this is a bad idea.
It's fine.
I think that there are no longer any good ideas. I think the good ideas are gone.
Yeah, I think we should practice idea neutrality in this moment.
If Sophie is in there, I'm going to punch her.
After hearing that, Clark's just like, step in line. Guys, she's not upset, and we're not in trouble. Or we might be, but not in that kind of trouble. I think it's gonna be fine. She's looking for solutions.
Shit, me too.
And, walk in.
Yeah, Olive follows.
Yep, follow on in.
Okay.
You'll file into the house. She is in the living room. The lights in the house are mostly off, but she's got the living room lamp on, and she has moved an armchair across the room from the couch, and she's sitting in the armchair, and she like gestures at you guys to gather around the couch or sit on the couch if you want. She says, "I'd appreciate it if y'all all stayed on that side of the room. I don't know exactly how this works, but I think just in case, I want to keep my distance." So she holds up the phone. "What do I still need to know?"
I have a Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate myself.
She takes a deep breath.
We know the founding families are behind the conspiracy. Definitively. The Vinton's, who was the fire chief, was involved. But they kind of don't exist anymore.
Okay.
And we also know that is because they are not gonna have to stay with me here. They're not really humans. They are a weird fish people. I don't know if you've ever read any H.P. Lovecraft. Can I ask you something?
Ask.
What did you find about my parents? Was there drugs in their system? A poison? No signs of struggle against the smoke?
Atticus, they were shot. Your parents were shot.
Yeah. And I'm sure, I don't know who the other family is, the DA, the mayor's assistant came to you, said they weren't shot. It was, no, we don't need that.
My boss, the chief of police.
Same asshole, different title.
And I'm going to go with that because otherwise I and you become a target.
We're already targets.
Yeah. I think there's like 5 days left. That's probably the big point. Supposedly there's 5 days left, according to whatever entity used to reside in Gus's body.
Which, oh my god, what is that creature saying? Because, no, never mind.
Honestly, Mom, good question, because half the time we don't even know.
Yeah, it's like the worst parts of Gus and an interdimensional being mushed together.
But also a baby for some reason.
Yep.
besides that, there is one more, I think, kind of pressing complication. A Vinton did get away. So somebody is, whoever else knows
A Venton who recognized us.
about grandfather, which is what they call, I'm assuming these, whatever they are, that are going to come from another universe and destroy our world.
Shit, they recognize us. We should call our parents or some.
I think we can assume that all of your families are in danger now, yes.
Well, everybody I care about's in this room now, so you can help make some calls for somebody else.
Maybe you can call Gus's family.
I miss Gus.
Listen, I need to understand this, but it seems like it's something that is going to be a lot to wrap my head around. So, everything that you've got, throw it at me.
There's a hole in the bottom of the lake. I'm not sure how that's involved. Prom was attacked. People are dying related to dreams that we're jumping into. We're still missing too many puzzle pieces to know how it all connects.
Yeah, I think Atticus goes more into like what has been said specifically that we know, right? That Sophie is an other dimensional being that was brought here by summoned, manifested in this world, supposedly by the fish people, has been here for 50 or so years and has aimed towards destroying our world because in a preemptive genocide because their world is threatened, and that she's not necessarily directly working with the founding families / fish people, but their aims are the same, and has helped facilitate some of this stuff, and that she was also connected with Brendan, and that she could speak to people through dreams, and that we would have these weird fucked up dreams where all this stuff would happen with an individual, and then someone they cared about would die the next day. And then she would also, Atticus would lastly talk about the beacons, and name the people, including her daughter, who we don't know 100% have been switched or not, or have been whatever, but there's some evidence that at least Dustin has been body swapped, hot swapped for another version of him. So Tag of Prom is the same one as the pep rally, it seems like, and it's the same one they're trying to do now to speed it up. That these like rituals are some sort of way of like opening the hole, and that's what Lantern Cove might be, because supposedly it's a lantern to other universes. So that might be the like pinhole that they're trying to rip through, like Jim Carrey and That Rhino's Asshole in that movie from the 90s. You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly the scene I'm talking about.
So, most of that she looked unaffected, but then when you mentioned her daughter being possibly replaced, that veneer of being solid just sort of dropped, and she looks a little bit lost right now. And she looks at you, Clark, as though to confirm what was said.
It's all true. And it's, for me, been the main driving force as to why I love you guys. I do. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that the main reason I was doing any of this, or didn't stop when we were, like, on our second dream trip is because of my sister.
If you can figure out how to stop it all, I don't think that stopping was ever an option.
Do you think that she was swapped, Clark?
At this moment, you kind of start to see Clark really break and kind of tear up. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Because from what we've seen, these things think that they are from here. There was an idea that was just thrown out there in the middle of all of us talking about this shit that scared the ever-loving Christ out of me. And it was, well, how do you know if you even had a sister at all? Could have been just a fucking illusion from the get-go. I'm sorry, guys. I wanted to punch Gus the second he fucking brought that up.
Gus doesn't have a filter. He just says shit.
Yes, I know, and that's why I didn't.
Olive puts a hand on Clark's arm just to be like soothing, but and looks at his mom and says, Has Angie ever said something that didn't make sense, or like she got a fact wrong in a weird way that you've ever noticed, like a memory, like she remembered a show, or she remembered a book that didn't exist, like she made it up in her head, and it has that ever?
She thinks about it for a minute. I don't remember anything like that. And the door opens behind her, and Angie walks in the room. And she says, "You guys are not being quiet. So, you want to tell me about this?" And your mother, like for a moment, she puts her hand over her mouth just in distress, but she pulls it away. And she says, "Hi, Angie. We're just having a little talk." And your sister walks into the room more fully, and she says, "No, I heard. So, does this have something to do with the forum? There's a forum."
Yeah.
And we're talking about things that we remember that no one else does.
Yeah.
Am I real?
Olive immediately goes over to her and crouches down to her eye level and just takes her hands and says, "You are real. No matter what, you are real. Okay? But maybe you can help us. Because we just want to understand."
I've been obsessed for weeks with this, and I haven't known why. But once I saw the forum, it just dug deeper into my brain, and I want everyone to to know what I know about these silly things, TV shows and video games, and it's an obsession. And is that like because I'm not from here? Is that because I was swapped, you said?
We don't know.
How can you not know? You're my brother.
I wish I had answers. I wish I could tell you. I've been trying to find them for the past few months. This has been one insane roller coaster after the other, and it just doesn't fucking stop. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you a definitive yes or no. I wish I could tell you that no. But the bullshit of the matter is, I don't know. None of us know. As much as we love to act like we do, none of us know.
Hey, Angie, can I tell you a thing I do know?
She nods.
Clark. He would do anything for you. And he's done a lot for you. Okay? And it doesn't matter where you came from or who you are. At this moment, it doesn't matter, okay? But I know it's scary. Can we ask you some questions? And it's okay if you don't know the answer, but like I said, we just want to know. We're trying to know. We're trying to understand things so we can I don't even know what we're trying to do. We're just trying to make it better. But maybe you can help us. If it's okay.
Go ahead and give me a rapport roll.
All right. It is a good.
Do you have any points you can use?
Is there an aspect that maybe we could?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Could I make an argument for Keeper of the Peace?
Yeah, that absolutely seems appropriate to me.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll spend a fate point to bump that up. Okay, so yeah, so that'll go up to superb.
Okay, with the superb, she takes a deep breath, holds it for a moment to calm herself, releases it, and goes to another chair, a smaller chair in the room, and sits down and says, I'm an open book. What you want?
During the entire explanation of what's been going on, has Sophie, Gus, or any of us mentioned about Angie's dreams potentially seeing the future?
I don't think so.
Before the prom, before the dance, Ange told me that she saw something in her dreams the night before. I didn't think much of it at the moment because honestly, I don't know if it was negligence or if it was just not really comprehending the strength of the matter. But she mentioned about the ritual happening that night, and later that night, it happened. And we came back to see her on the floor.
I remember that dream. There were fish coming out of the water and crawling up onto the land and coming into the city. That was a weird ass dream.
You remember that dream?
Yeah.
So that means that if you did get swapped, it wasn't at prom. Or there are other dimensions with people also fighting this interdimensional being who are also us.
God, a multiversal conundrum.
Well, that means we have more allies than we thought we did.
That's good. Thanks for looking at the positive.
Angie, do you remember any other dreams that you've had in the past, since the gas leak?
I mean, I dream all the time. I have a bunch of weird dreams. I remember dreams about, like, I was caught up in, like, someone's knitting, like it was tangles that I was trying to get out of. And there was a dream where I was in class and everyone was looking at me, but then when I turned around, I knew they didn't have a face. But then when I looked, they had faces. I have all sorts of weird dreams.
So do we. Do you ever write anything down?
No.
Has anybody ever tried to talk to you? Or has anybody talked to you that has, like, it's been kind of weird that they've reached out, or
Like a stranger talking to me for some reason, or
yeah, maybe, or yeah.
no, I mean, no, mostly the people that talk to me are just people at school or, at the hospital.
Olive looks at Clark's mom, Mrs. Fairchild. Is there anybody at the hospital that would be part of her care that maybe is a Vinton or an Ashbourne or an Edinburgh or a Gilman? Do you know?
She starts thinking, and I roll some dice, and she thinks for a moment, and she says, I mean, I think I remember an Ashbourne, but I mean, they're all over the place. Here in Iron Cove.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the problem. And she looks around at everybody else. It's not something we really talked about, but I think it's kind of a safe assumption that if you're part of the family, you're in. You might not be in on all the details, but
17-year-old watching the lighthouse today.
yeah. And if Angie, because Angie is special, I imagine they'd want to have somebody there.
Monitoring the situation.
So the people at the hospital who are supposed to be taking care of me and figuring out what's wrong with me are just monitoring me. They're not trying to make me better at all.
They might be trying to make it worse.
Don't.
It's just that's the reality of the situation.
I know. I understand why you said it. I just don't. Okay. Have you always been sick?
No, it started when we came here.
Is that when... Have you ever talked about those shows that you want everyone to know about? Have you talked about them with Clark or your mom? Or have you tried?
No. I've been pretty much chronically online for a while. And talking online about it. And at school, I'm actually starting a club about it at school. But no, I haven't talked to Clark or Mom about
When
it.
did you start noticing that people didn't know what you were talking about?
Yeah, it's weird. Everything seemed normal until recently here, and then it was like these things were erased, except for House on the Hill that came back. But
Yeah, that came back. How recently? Like, was it before prom? Was it after prom?
yeah, I guess it was around that time. I guess.
We really appreciate you talking to us. I know this is really hard and stressful. Is there anything else you can think of? Anything other weird things? Again, and they might seem silly to you, but I promise whatever you have to say, whatever sticks out in your brain, we want to know.
My brain. Like, so sometimes when my brain, you know, goes haywire, I see things. Like, it's just like weird geometry, like shapes that don't make any sense. And I figured it was just my brain, you know, seizing up, and seeing things that didn't make sense when it was normal. But it's like I see things that have how they have so much more than can fit in my vision, and it just keeps going into my vision and then leaving, like it's twisting in directions that I can't see, and it always scares me. But then when it's over, it's like nothing happened and I forget about it. But I don't know. I'm not making any sense. And she's her breath is getting quicker and shallower.
I think Olive, wow, Olive like automatically is like starts to do the slow breathing to try to get her to follow. Of like, it's okay. You're making more sense than you think you are. It's okay. Where is our friend slash not our friend?
Clark's mom looks towards you and says, "If you're talking about the Sophie Scott,
Yes.
I left him, her,
We
them."
couldn't land on a pronoun. It was a thing. Like,
They kept on saying us. It was interesting.
Well, I left them at my work because they weren't getting into the car and didn't make any sense. They seemed to have their own agenda as to what to do tonight.
Well, at least that's still the same.
Yeah. But do you remember what they said at all?
Weird stuff, like they handed me the phone and said that they thought it was important for me to talk to you all, and that's when I logged in and figured out your password, well, and all that. But then they were saying that they need to understand better because they want to they said they want to solve the difference in their mind. They said that there was something in their mind that was different and they needed to solve it. And I didn't ask any further because I didn't understand any of the shit that was coming out of their mouth.
Didn't you guys say he like teleported out of the car?
Yeah.
So that's running around town. Who knows what else they can do?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Sophie tell us that this was like talking about it as if Gus put her in some kind of punishment, as in to her ideology of it being a punishment of like trying to figure out the human condition? Or am I remembering that wrong?
Some of the raving and babbling was sort of like that, yeah.
okay, so they aren't going to be helpful. They weren't helpful to begin with, but they're definitely not going to be helpful now.
They helped me. They gave me this.
Yeah. I guess indirectly they can be, but when it comes to one-on-one with us, they don't really like to talk to us. Or at least so it seems.
They seemed overstimulated all the time.
Mood.
Honestly, what Angie just described, I believe that's what Sophie has been having to deal with nonstop since she went to Gus's body. That's what it sounds like. And listen, I'm so happy that you are willing to listen to us and not lock us up or whatever. But I don't know how you can help us. I don't know how anybody can help us. We have been dragged into a multi-dimensional war by fairies to be child soldiers with absolutely no information past dream journals.
Man, am I glad that's not the first thing that we went with when explaining this.
But am I wrong?
No, you are 100% right.
Clark, can you see? Because we had this theory about what people can see or can't see, and there's definitely a blurred line. Can you try to shoot some webs?
Yeah. I shoot some webs into a ball in my hand. This is something I can do now. Don't freak out, Mom, please.
Your mom looks decidedly nonplussed by that. You're spider?
Yeah. It has to do with the dream stuff. When we go to sleep, we look different. We are different. It's like a persona. What am I kidding? You married Dad. It's secret identities, pretty much.
Okay. So you've got a secret identity, and it gives you magic powers?
Bingo. It's kind of limited here, but there's a lot we can do in the dream realm. I don't remember if we actually even came up with a name for whenever that happened. Did we say dream walking?
I think we're
Yeah,
busy.
we could call it murder vision.
Frantically trying to solve murders.
Yeah. You're right.
This is because of fairies?
That's yeah, that's kind of what they are called here, but extra dimensional beings that are attached.
Mom, think Stargate. You know the Asgardians and how they're actually an alien race? It's like that. Fairies are aliens that are apparently learning to coexist with us. But there's another group of aliens that don't want that. Multi-dimensional beings? Yeah.
Okay. Atticus, why did you want that to happen? Why did you want him to shoot a web?
There's just a certain amount that apparently other people can't see that we can see.
So you were trying to see if I could see it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw it.
that's all. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's all good. I appreciate it. I appreciate any information gathering that we can do here.
So what we've been trying to figure out is there seem to be these rituals happening, and they're called family reunions or something like that, and it's with the founding families. And if we can stop as many of them as possible, maybe we can hold off the thing that's going to try crashing through. at the end of the week.
The family reunions are the rituals, right? And that's what happened at prom. There was we correlated through the messages that, and so clearly that's what we know definitively is what they use to either bring things from the other side, send things back, whatever it is they're doing. We don't know what they're doing. But at prom, what we saw and what nobody else saw, which is why we started the fire, is a bunch of tentacles came out of the floor at prom. All these fish people stood in a circle in the middle of everyone, started chanting, and then these tentacles came out and they reached out for, and then I named the 6 beacons. We're pretty sure. We know definitively that they reached out to the ones that we saw. And then we also correlated that there was one on the day of the large crowds has something to do with it. On the day of the pep rally. There's something to do with like energy or of like a large crowd or something. Maybe that's when they're swapping people and why there's more and more people on these forums.
Well, it has been talked about that the people around us that interact with us on a daily basis are being drained.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it happened at big things, because they need that pull of energy. They need the battery.
Yeah. Or at least it makes it easier, because they were definitely in the bottom of that lighthouse doing the same thing. Or trying. But I wonder if there's other locations around the cove that instead of one circle and tentacles coming out of the middle of the circle, there's 4 founding families?
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
4 locations around the cove, and the hole in the cove is what they want to come out. Because remember, Chris, when he went down there, felt grabbed. Atticus would have also told Clark's mom about telling like the media and then what he graffitied all over like the front to try to like slow things down.
I remember we got some sort of like anonymous tip about
The police chief
About
was
your
the one that
principal.
said
but the
that
chief was
it was
just sort of said it was a prank. Yes.
So since Olive hopefully would know this, being like of the town, what is the police chief, like which family is he?
Edinburgh.
Yeah, so I mean, you might have more resources than we do, but just if there's any way you could find out gathering places or just anything.
I have access to some databases. I could get you a list of people with those last names in the town, and she like swallows her resolve there, and their addresses.
Is there any way that could get traced back to you, Mom, before we go jump in the shark and saying, yeah, that's what we're gonna do? Because I don't
Do a lot more than jump on these sharks.
There's also a shark. Also, I just have to say, in pure teenager fashion, none of us can say her first name. We've all said Clark's mom. Or Mrs.
That's
Fairchild.
real role play.
That is.
As much as we already know that we're in danger, to be frank, I'm pissed at Sophie Gus because she brought you into this. I know that we already are a target and potentially our families already had one on their back because of it. But now that you're potentially directly connected with it, it puts an even bigger target. And I'm sorry. I know it sounds selfish, but I'm not about that.
Today, my boss threatened me so that I would cover up a murder. I'm in this, whether an alien brings me in or not.
Okay. Clark fully knowing there's nothing that he can do once his mom's put her mind to it. Okay, well, I tried.
I told you your mom's a badass.
You didn't have to tell me, but thank you.
So yes, there is risk to getting that information, but apparently the world is ending in 5 days. So, perspective.
They also might not be at their homes. There are these locations that we know of. It was the lighthouse was the one, but there was like 2 others, right? I thought
Yeah.
that they had that were like common grounds.
Yeah, there were other locations in the photographs. It's just the Vinton Lighthouse was the one that you knew where it was.
So did we not, I'm reminding myself, did we not know where the other locations were?
No.
No.
Can we show those to, like, absolutely, I want to show those to his mom and be like, I don't, we couldn't figure out where these were. Do you have any idea where these are? Is she doing investigation? Can I help her? I am on there just being like, because again, the towny thing of like, I mean, I think like this looks like the trees.
She pulls them up. She's just, yeah, I saw these on the, I don't know, it's just like a random, looks like a cave or something. And then there's like a wooden room. And no, I don't know where
That's
these are. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
But maybe, what if you don't have to find them? What if you can stop them by taking down this forum that Angie's on, or
I think there's all yes and at this point. I think there's like a ton of different things to try. I think the forum thing helps, but it's like that's a symptom of the root, which is the families, right? And the things that they're doing to swap people. So it's, but that also could be conjecture. I don't know. What I do know is they are actively working to end everything, right? And that's maybe we can get more, like if we buy more time, we can convince Sophie Guest of something, or whatever. Maybe another 50 years will be enough time. But yeah, I don't. That's just what if we know. These people have been setting it up ever since 3 kids went out into the forest. One went into the lake, came back out. Everything from the military base closing to infiltrating places like fire chief, police chief, whatever other positions they're in, to, I mean, that's another way you could slow it down. At the very least, there's illegal activity here, blowing up a whole conspiracy. I mean, I know you can't do much within the town, but I don't know. Does the FBI investigate corrupt police chiefs?
and shit, you can see that like the gears are turning behind her eyes on that one.
There's got to be a bigger authority. I know there's the staties, at the least, right? It's like a state bureau of investigation. I saw The Departed.
Yeah. I don't know how much good it'll do, but I can reach out and I'll get you that information.
We got to do something because that little boy is running to his, I'm assuming, uncles and cousins or whatever.
You'll need to find a place. You need to find a place that's safe to hold up while you're figuring out where to go to fight these motherfuckers.
Is there any place that's safe?
I think we just rough it, just camp. Somebody's got a tent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gus would have one.
If one of the Ventons escaped, I don't think you can even go to school.
Yeah. But it is also, I mean, there's the other thing to think about, that it is kind of a giant game of chicken, right? It is a kind of okay, well, how do you know what we did and what were you doing down there?
True.
Which is why, even after what happened with Principal Gilman, now they've, instead of taking a route using the authorities that they've had, they just enacted a larger cover-up and conspiracy.
Not to mention it's 1 against 6. Whose word are you going to believe?
The one with the family backing, whose entire family has suddenly disappeared.
Sure, your trust of authority has gotten you super far, Chris, so I'm sure keep doing that. I think that it's plausible, but it's also plausible that the public outcry of asking questions and instigating any sort of investigation is better. But I don't. That's which is why I don't think they would. But either way, I mean, not going to school is fine with me. I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm kind of over school.
I also don't know if anybody is capable of a public outcry right now.
I can't miss practice.
You know, like everybody is so meh. But
Yeah, that's fair.
disruption. I think there's something to be said for disruption. If we can, even if it's a million tiny disruptions, I think we need to talk to Jess. I think we need to talk to Aaron. I don't know. Angie, if if anything happens, you just keep telling us, okay? You just keep talking, okay?
Angie is kind of dissociated right now, but she looks to you and she just sort of distantly nods. Find somewhere to be safe. I will get you information.
Thank you for believing us.
All the shit that's been going on, this shit that doesn't make any sense, makes more sense than the shit that would normally make sense.
You seem decent, Officer Fairchild. You should quit the force.
I know, since we've already noticed the walls are kind of thin in this house, do you guys mind giving me a minute with my mom and Ange?
Yeah, I got you.
Can we have here? He's like takes the keys away to like go get in the van again.
I would actually really like it. Can I take a shower and
Yeah.
burn these clothes?
I'm pretty sure burning it would be extremely easy since, gasoline. But yeah,
My phone on speaker or something so I can't hear you. Put some music.
Yeah, Olive goes out to the van and she's actually gonna, once she's in there, she's actually going to text Aaron and say, I've been talking about all the best anime with the group. What should I share? Like, what should I tell people to watch? Try to keep it as, like, normal as possible.
So let's do Clark.
the first thing he does is hug his mom. And you can see tears starting to stream down his face as he's explaining, I'm sorry. I probably should have explained it to you sooner, but we just didn't know what to do. We didn't know who to trust. And even our own families were an extreme stretch. At least to me, it was an extreme stretch.
Your mom gently disengages from the hug and puts you at arm's length and looks in your eyes and says, Clark, from what I can tell, you've been doing everything you can. And you're dealing with something that no one should have to deal with, much less someone your age. I don't have any criticism for you. So if you're looking for judgment, you're not going to find it here. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. And he looks at Ange and tells her, I don't care where, when, you're still my sister. You are my sister, and nothing's going to change that.
What if I'm not? What if
Bullshit.
your sister... What if your... No, what if your sister is in some other universe now? Because I'm here. Your real sister.
You're still family.
Should never have let you watch those Fast and Furious movies.
It was Dad's fault too.
She smiles just a little bit.
We're gonna fix this. We're gonna figure it out. I promise that.
She looks like she doesn't believe you, but she's doing her best.
Do what you can to get safe. I know you can protect Ange, Mom, but someone also has to protect you. I love you. I love you both. And I promise I'll be safe.
You better.
And now you've met my friends.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about that once the world is safe.
Yeah. And hopefully you can meet the real Gus. Well, no, you've already met the real
Yeah.
Gus. Come to think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I met Gus. Go on. Save the world.
Only like you would. And he hugs his mom and sister one last time before he walks to the car.
So I'm just saying that if Angie can see other dimensions, she should be able to find the other us's in those dimensions, and all of us can team up together against, because it's one multidimensional being, because they're multidimensional, they're in all the dimensions at the same time, but we're single dimensional. So if we pull the other us's, we have an army.
Is that a good idea?
You've also got to think there's also an army of Gus's in that
I
same
think an
line.
army of Gus's would actually either destroy the world themselves or save us all.
Okay.
There's only the or
In every universe, do we all have powers?
Are they the same, or is it like, oh, I bet Clark has all the different Spider-Mans, right? Like, I bet there's a Venom Clark, and
There's a me where Sophie's in my head.
shit.
Oh, I was thinking like Superior Spider-Man where Doc Ock takes over.
yeah,
Now I'm really nerding out. Awesome.
Sophie is the symbiote.
Oh no, does that mean there's a 2099 version?
Oh
There's
God.
Oh yeah,
There's a version where Atticus is the jock.
I'm just saying. I think what if
Like-
Sophie is Gus
Or
from
there's a
there's
another
a version
dimension?
of me where I am the van.
Whoa.
That's in the universe where all of us are like little cartoon animals,
God, what animal would?
and our dream versions are just normal humans. Like, I'm just saying, we shouldn't discount the idea that there are other us's that we can call upon. I think that Angie, having pretty clearly come here after prom, but having that dream, remembering having that dream before prom, means that this is a multi-pronged dimensional attack. I think it also means that even if we fix it here in our dimension, it's not necessarily fixed.
As much as I love the idea of a versal dimensional battle, let's give her tonight.
Yes. Here's my question, or what the thoughts I've been having. It sounded like she was having the same struggles as Sophie talked about, of being not fitting into her own skin. Like there's just too much. So there's too many different sides of this. So the beacons are from Sophie's world, or pulled by Sophie's world, or
I mean, I'm not sure if they're all being pulled from the same other dimension. I don't think it's correct to call it Sophie's world, because if Sophie is multi-dimensional, right, they exist in all of these dimensions at the same time. Until very recently.
is it possible that there's a creature like Sophie in Angie's head, in these beacons' heads, like we have the fairies in our heads?
I mean, that's definitely a route we can go down.
I didn't want to talk about it or push it, Clark. But it's because it's your sister and she's a kid, but like
it's none of our faults. Well, if anything, it's my fault for being so fucking loud.
No, it's not about there's going to be a hard conversation, which is, do we want to push her? Because pushing her could get us answers.
If I come back in, can I say it, like, come back into the van now?
Yeah.
I think if you want to test that hypothesis, again, didn't we try that already with Dustin? And they're supposedly the same thing. Like, that was the whole point of you guys going, I don't know, however many hours ago now. And didn't he like call him an insect and push him? And all he did was kind of crumble. He also punched him in the face at one point. We've also seen Jess under pretty incredible duress. I mean, it's worth, I guess, thinking about and maybe trying, but I wouldn't. I don't think Angie's the right person to try.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
One, and I'm not sure that it's. I think, well, from what we were explained to you by the fairies, remember, they just have extra consciousness. That's what the too much feeling is. They're like extra good at being. That's the sentence. They're extra good at being.
So, cause disruptions, figure out a way to disconnect beacons. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but like, if we need to turn the beacons off. I think the website's a great place to start.
That's something I was thinking about. She said that through the forum, somebody was talking to her, and I'm wondering who that somebody is. I don't know if if it was Sophie. That was my main assumption, but now I'm not sure.
We've got access to that forum. Hey, Freya, could you do some digging into the members on that forum before, see if we can get...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because if we can get any information, that would be good.
Of course. She pulls out her phone.
Give me an investigation roll.
If I could give the help action, just kind of looking over her shoulder, looking at usernames.
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
You investigate the forum from your phone. You dig in and find a list of users, not like their IP addresses or anything, but you get usernames, and you are able to see the growth of the forum, how it started out just like a couple days after prom with Aaron Makari started it to talk about why no one remembered this anime called Mirai no Kuraimichi, which the otaku among you recognizes as meaning the dark path to the future. And soon it became the home to people talking about that video game Mandala and the House on the Hill. And then everyone was amazed when House on the Hill came back on the air. And it was a local forum. And then the memberships just started growing as no one was reaching out, but people just started logging in from all over the place. And now there are literally hundreds of thousands of members of this forum, and people start out not knowing what's going on, and then like after a while they start to type in I remember this. I think you're right. I remember this too. So there's a pattern of it growing and of people starting to come over to remembering these same things that everyone else remembers. And it's no longer a local phenomenon. It's now a worldwide phenomenon.
Are people's consciousnesses being expanded? Not that they're being switched out, but just that something's triggering and collapsing of dimensions or something?
Sounds more like a virus. So we gotta shut it down.
Question now is, it's going to be a lot more complicated. How do we shut something down that's this big?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, right? Like again, that's a symptom, a result of other actions, right? We know it started after prom with apparently Macquarie, right? That's the origin. Who was switched by the fucking people in this town at a quote unquote family reunion? That's the source. We're trying to put a lid on the hose instead of just turning the water valve off, right? Like we know the source. And potentially all these other family reunions after could just be expanding that reach, right? Every single time. If it reaches out of the gym, like who knows, right? How far can it go? And how many people are being swapped every time, including tonight?
You know what? In fact, with that was you got a grade, right? You said for the investigation. In fact, with that thought, you can look at the sort of bursts of growth of the forum, and they do seem to correlate with stuff that's going on here. Like there was a burst just recently, corresponding with what the Vincents were doing in their basement or their cave. So there could be a definitive link between what's being done and what's happening on that forum.
Okay. I mean, we could keep trying to shut the forum down, but that might just make it bigger, right? That the source is whatever they're doing, those things. Whatever this ritual thing is that's hot swapping people. It's brutal. But we keep looking at different avenues and it just keeps pointing at the same family group of people that need to be stopped. And they are making it to where the only way that they're stopped is if they stop existing. I desperately need a nap. Can we go drive into the forest and sleep for just a little bit until Clark's mom gets some information?
Yeah.
You drive off into the woods, and you spend the rest of that night in the van, or
Yeah, I think in the van's probably the best option.
I think at one point Atticus just like a little bit before bed down just said, I'm not gonna go run off and do anything. I just need a little bit of alone time.
Go ahead. Honestly, Yeah.
Even if you were going to run off and do something, it's not like we'd be able to stop you.
And then Atticus just goes into the forest and cries for probably like an hour. Just bawls his eyes out. And then comes back with his hoodie on and just curls up and sleeps.
I think for at least 2, maybe 3 hours after everyone's passed out, Clark's just staring out the window with his hands clenched on the wheel. Just thinking about everything that's been going on. How much he wants to scream right now. Just sits there until he passes out on the wheel.
I think Chris is going to go over to Olive. Should we, I don't know how we keep your family safe. Like, Clark's mom's in the know. Atticus family. I know literally nothing about Freya's family.
My dad is part of the school. I don't know. I'm leaning towards thinking that ignorance is the best option.
I don't think Atticus's parents knew anything. And maybe if they had, they could have been more prepared. Had any way to fight back.
I don't... My parents are not going to be like Clark's mom. What I say, get out of town, they're not going to do that.
Right, we don't
They're not
go and
going
give
anywhere.
them Gus's phone, but
I say, watch out, somebody's going to murder you. Like,
so is there just nothing? We sit back and hope?
I don't know, Chris. I don't... There's no good answers anymore. I've been freaking out about it since...
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
And I've been thinking about it and obsessing about it. But there's just no good option. There's nothing. I mean, I truly, if I thought that saying something would get them to move, they don't listen to me. I barely exist to them as it is. They're not there. I'm only there. They only notice me when they want to use me, when they fight with each other. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know if they'd listen. Maybe you should text my dad. He'd listen to you.
I don't think that's true. It's not. Like, if he wouldn't listen to you, why would he listen to me?
She laughs. She laughs at that. Because you have value. You are the golden child.
What do you mean?
For him. If he could adopt you, he would.
But you're his daughter.
I know, it sucks. It sucks. And there was a time when I really, really wished I could hate you for that. But you're such a good guy. I am not who my parents wanted. And I am coming to terms with that.
I think you see, Chris starting to, have the gears turning in his head of, now that it's being pointed out to him. I'm sorry. I guess I just never really thought about it. I just assumed that your parents treat you like they treat me.
I don't blame you. I blame them. And if I'm honest, I'm glad that somebody treats you like you deserve to be treated. I mean, we can do it together. They know that we're spending time together a lot more. If my mom says something weird about that, I'm really, really sorry.
I'll message them something. I'll figure it out. Yeah, she did corner me at breakfast the other day.
Since adoption's not an option, it's weird.
That was weird, but
they make it weird. anyway.
It's weird. And I think Chris is just going to text like Olive's dad, like one of the recent articles about like the spate of murders in Lantern Cove and be like, hey, things are getting weird. Make sure y'all are staying safe.
It is the middle of the night. You do not get a reply.
And probably not actually that particular phrasing, like workshop it with Olive to be like unalarming.
I mean, you could be alarming. He's really not with it. Just a little bit, like, just a tad, just a skosh alarming.
Be slightly alarming.
I'm worried about my scholarships, coach. What about the murders?
Right? Is this going to affect team morale? It would really hurt team morale if you got murdered. Make sure you don't get murdered.
We can't take the emotional trauma.
Don't do it. Don't do it right before the big game, coach.
So you all settle down and fall asleep eventually. And you wake up in the morning with a list of names and addresses brought to you on your phones. And we'll go ahead and we'll end this session on that. On this brand new day in which you will be setting out to save the world. Thank you everyone for coming.
4 more days.